Umlenden a Black Gemara. Today, Thursday's daf is daf Ayin Aleph. We are up to the middle of the page, the second Mishnah on the page. And we are talking about, okay, just a quick introduction. In order for something to become yours, you have to make a form of acquisition. And there are different kinds of kinyanim. There's kesef, by paying the money. We're talking about metalkli now. And then there is meshicha, by drawing it, or hagbah, by lifting it, doing an act that makes it yours. We had in Perik Hazov and Bamatzin an argument of Yechon the Shlokish. According to the Shlokish, Mahatoira, the form of kinyan is meshicha. You draw it to yourself or you lift it. According to Rabbi Yochanan, Mahatoira, the proper kinyan is money. It's the Rabbanon who said that we need meshicha because otherwise the owner, the one who sold it, then is sitting in his attic waiting for you to pick it up. And there's a fire or there's a flood, and he won't be bothering to save it because he says it's yours already. It's your headache. So Shem, maybe Nisru Chitecha Bali, your Chitecha is your weed that got burnt in the Aliyah upstairs. So Chomer Takana, that it does not transfer ownership until the guy actually took it away from you, so you will make sure that it's intact. Okay, now the question is when it comes to a goy, how is a goy kind of? Is a goy kind of Meshicha? Or goy is not kind of Meshicha? Do we say whatever kinyan applies to a yid, a goy is different? Or do we say a goy's kinyan is Meshicha as well? So now and this is important to know, because once the goy takes it into his reshus, right away after that, we say that this maga, he'll touch the wine and it becomes stam yenim, it becomes usr, and it becomes usr bahana. And now you remember, if once something becomes yayin nesach or stam yenim, you're not allowed to have any benefit from it. You're not allowed to sell it. The money you get from it you can't use it because usr bahana. So you need to make sure that you collect the money, or he owes you the money at least, prior to him taking it into his reshus and turning into yain nesach. So then, even though he paid you afterwards, he's paying you a debt that he owes from prior. He's not paying you for the wine. He's paying you. Exactly. So therefore, this Mishnah will be used to understand whether the halach is Meshicha by a goy is kain or not kain. So let's do the Mishnah. The simple pshat, and there's a machlekes in the two Amoraim, and then the other Amoraim will have to figure out how to pshat the Mishnah. Says the Mishnah. Now, one other thing. We're going to see in the Gemara later that before the guy takes ownership, we have to work out a price. That's called pasak damav. You work out a price. And why that's essential is either because you work out a price means it's kinyan kesef and he owes the money already, or the other way of learning is that working out a price is that when the goy will take it into the reshus, he knows already how much he's up for, he knows how much he's paying. If he agrees to take it into the reshus, that means the Mashiach is a valid kinyan. But if he has no idea what the price is, even though he took it into the reshus, maybe he's waiting to hear what the price is, and if you charge an exorbitant amount, he'll return it. So the Mashiach is not really a Mashiach because he doesn't know. So that's why Pasuk Dama is important. Says the Mishnah. Middle Mishnah, bottom Mishnah. Second Mishnah on the page. Somebody sells wine to a goy. Pasuk, if you made up a price, you said, okay, this barrel costs $100, then you owe the money now. There's no yain nesach here. Ad shaloi madad, before you measured and before the guy took it. So then the guy took it and he turns into yain nesach. He's paying you because he already owed you the money. He owes you $100 before he took that's the price he made. As soon as he pulled it, he didn't make it yain nesach. He just pulled the barrel. As soon as he pulled it, it became his, and therefore he owes the money to the yid. And afterwards he touched it. It became yain nesach. Who cares? Dama v'tari. But if first he pulled into the shus, ad shalei pasak dama. If first he pulled into the shus, but he didn't make up amount, he didn't make up an account, which means the Mashiach then is not valid. If the Mashiach then the fact that he took it doesn't mean that for sure that he's going to go ahead with it. So then it means that the guy did not take ownership. Who owns the wine still? The yid. And then the guy turned it into yain nesach. And now you want the guy to pay you. He's paying you for yain nesach. He now have any benefit from yain nesach. Absolutely. Sorry, muzzle literally means measured, and then took it. That's when the no, it might be the Edom measure. We'll see. Mother, you measured, and then the guy took it. We'll soon see. Mother means you pour it into barrels. Okay, we don't know at this point. We don't know whose barrel that is receiving the wine. The Jew's barrel or the guy's barrel. We'll discuss that. Amar Meimar says, now we have an argument. Meimar and Rav Ashi. Meimar says, Mashiach by B'cham Kaina. Meimar says that by a guy is also Kaina with Mashiach. Tate, I'll prove it to you. You have these people from the Parsoyim, the people from Parsoy. That the Mishadi, they would send Pardashna presents, Lahadodi, to each other, and And once they took it, they never changed their mind. That means that what? That the moment you took it, the moment you made a Mashiach, it's too late. You can't unravel, you can't undo it. Others say Padashani means a sample. That if you want to buy a large quantity of wheat, I send you a sample. And if I send you a sample, then and he keeps it, that means he's going ahead with the deal. And if he doesn't want it, he sends it back to you. So we see that the giving of the sample is what makes the kinyan. So we were learning right now, just because it is that a machlekes of a goy, what kinyan does a goy have to use to be koine? Is it meshicha or is it kesef? And the nafkamina, the way we learn Pashto Pshat is that meshicha is koine from our Mishnah. Our Mishnah says if you sell wine to a goy, make sure that you work out exactly how much money he owes you. And then as soon as he takes the item, he already owes his money straight away. And then a second later, he puts his hand in something, or he pours it to something else. That becomes the yain nesech. Who cares? The money you're getting is not for what he did afterwards; it's for you already agreed on a price. However, if you did not agree on a price, even though he drew it to himself, he made a meshichas, could be he'll change his mind if you start him a crazy price. So there's no kinyan in it. No kinyan. Who owns the wine? The yid. And if the guy turns yain nesech, he can no longer collect your money because you're taking money for yain nesech. So simple pshat na Mishnah is that Mashiach is kaina. And Amema says the same thing. He proves it. That's how going behave. Says the Gemara. Rav Ashi disagrees. When the Gemara 3 lines, the Gemara Rav Ashi says, "Lo olam ein lach." I will tell you, Mashiach ba'oivek achavim einu kaina. A guy is not kaina Mashiach. So how come over there in the Pasoyim, once they give a gift to each other, they don't change their mind? The Ramas Ruchu did They're too much hubris there, or too arrogant to say I don't want to decline or change their mind. It's unedifying, so therefore that's why. Not because the kinyan does not allow them. It's a behavior, cultural thing. How do I know that Mashiach is not not like a mema? By the way, the halach is like a memar. Rav told these people who sell wine, he said to them, when you're measuring wine to a guy, shaklu zuza menai, first take the money. In other words, we'll see in a minute why, because money is the kinyan. Make sure you sell to them, so that whose wine is it now? And when you sold it, it wasn't the Ein Nesach yet. So you have every right to take the money. But then go measure it and let them do whatever they want to turn to the Ein Nesach. Doesn't matter. You're getting paid, and even if you didn't pay straight away, you're getting paid for the but the Eli, the Kitu, if Eli, the Kitu Badaizos, whatever, they don't have any money with them. Oizifinu, lend them the money. And therefore, when they're paying you later, they're paying you a loan. Exactly. It's a loan. Because if you don't do that, if you don't do that, I mean they weren't koine, even though they pulled it into their fist. Mashiach by goy is not koine. Says here, Mashiach is not koine, and then if Mashiach is not koine and the goy will take the wine into his reshus, then it's the yid's wine that became yain nesach. How can you get paid? You take money yain nesach. For Ayin Aleph on the bottom of the page, we're having machlekes of Mashiach. We're having a potatoes marapah.
So to get it to the Kaaba, it's unnecessary. I can't see it. Why should anybody have to get for anybody else?
Okay, fair enough.
So.
Okay. So we have a machlekes of Mashiach is koine. So Ramema said by a goy Mashiach is koine, and Rav said by a goy kesef is koine, not Mashiach. Big machlekes is shining by a goy. What about when it comes to a commercial sale? Then obviously, let's say he holds Mashiach is kind of. What about if a guy finds an object? A guy, someone, as a mitzvah. How is he kind of? So Teisha says in places where there's not shaykh to do kesef, a guy gives you a gift. A guy gives a guy a gift. No money involved. So how's a guy kind of? So Teisha says where it's not, there's no money involved. Then Mashiach is kind of. Everybody's might do Mashiach is kind of. The argument is where there's money involved, which is the right kinyan. Where there's money involved, then what makes you the owner? Pay the money. By goes the kesef. By yid also to whether it's mahat teda or whatever. But but other Rishonim hold that even where you can't, a guy is never kind. as we'll see more later about Gzela. Now, so what's Rav Ashi's raya? Because Rav and Rav hold Mashiach Takas Nakoinu. That's how we learned. Because Rav said to these people, make sure you collect the money from the goy before you give it to them. So therefore, or if you don't have money, lend him the money and take it back. So later, if the goy turns to the yain nesach, he's not paying you for the yain; he's paying you for the loan that he owes you. But if you don't take the money first and he schleps it in the shus, he wasn't kainit, so it's your wine. He touches it, it's yain nesach. He can no longer collect money for it because you're getting money for yain nesach. So clearly, says Rav Ashi, Rav holds that Mashiach is not kainit by goy, and that's my basis. So and he continues. If you tell me that Mashiach by goy is kainit, with the mashcha, the kachavim, kanya. So what's the problem then? If the Mashiach is kainit, as soon as the guy did the Mashiach, he owes money now to the balabas. It's not yain nesach yet, and yain nesach lahabi adonogabe, and yain nesach only happens later. What's the problem? Must be that Mashiach is not kainit, and therefore still he eats wine. So the Gemara says, no raya from Rav. I can argue what Rav learns. You know what happened over there? I'll tell you what. If the situation was that you were measuring the wine with Rami Lemani Sauce, and he takes the wine from a big barrel, he puts it in a small chocolate say, if they were putting it in the kalim of a yid, it's a yid's kalim. And Rav says, look, you better make sure you get the money first, because otherwise the guy takes it, if the guy takes it, it's still yours, you own the kalim, it's yours. And therefore, he'll turn to the yain nesach the moment he touches it. You can no longer collect the money. Then Hachinabi will be a good raya. But I'll tell you what happened there. Maybe it was goyish kalim, and therefore it was goyish kalim. Even if what do you call it? Even if you say that Mashiach is kaina, the moment you put it in the kalim, it's already yain nesach. It's a problem. The one says no, it isn't. Even if it's goyish, Rabashi is proving his point. He says, I don't see the difference. Even if it's goyish kalim, when does it become yain nesach? When it lands on the bottom, why would it be yain nesach? Because you have some residual wine from stam yain from before. That's only when it hits the bottom. But as it's traveling, once it hits the avir of the keli, the goy is really kaina. Like in Hagbah, the goy's hold. When we say Mashiach Hagbah, it's all the same, an act of king. So the guy's holding the keli, he's holding it up, he's lifting it. As soon as it enters the avir of the keli, the guy was kainit. If you hold Mashiach as kainit, so why is Rav saying, insisting, get the money first? Who cares? The moment the wine got into the keli, it's not yain nesach. You already owe me the money, and 30 seconds later it became yain nesach. Who cares? So what's the problem? The raya to me that Mashiach Hagbah, whatever you want to call it, is not kain at all. That's why he told them pay up front, otherwise you don't get something. So Kimot Lavi Ramana Kanya Rabash said as soon as enter the Avi the Keli, Yanil had the Mutla Ramana to look at the bottom. Unless Shmami, no, you're going to argue that Nitzik Chuber. The more later on has a whole discussion with Nitzik. So when you have a flow, unless you can argue that no, that even though the Avi of the Keli, the Kinyan, it's already Yain Nesach as well. How is it Yain Nesach? Because since you're pouring it, and it's going to hit the thing in the bottom, it's already connected to the thing on top, and therefore all the yaim can yain nesach the moment it enters the avir keli. And that's why Rav said, look, Mashiach is not kain, you better give the money up front. That's what Rav says. No, it's still no raya from there. You know why? You're assuming that there's a kinyan while he's holding it because he's holding it in his hand. That kinyan hagbah. I'm telling you, the kelim on the floor. It's heavy. It's sitting on the floor. And the balabas walks around serving the wine, and therefore. If either nokele will come the kele biyad hachinami, like sicha the much sitting on the ground. It's sitting on the ground, and therefore, because it's sitting on the ground, there's no kinyan hagbah, there's no mashiach whatsoever. That's why he said, "Give me the money first," because otherwise you have a problem. The guy, there's no kinyan, and the guy will touch it, become yain nesach. The guy is kainem mitzad his kalim. The guy should be kaina because it's inside his keli. So anyway, the guy is kaina. Shamat minay. So let's prove from here that kelev shalakeach b'shus meichel lekana lekech. That the kelim of the lekeach is a machlekes we had more basra. If the kelim of the buyer is sitting in the house of the seller, do we look at the keli? Do we look at the house? We say the house of the seller. Therefore, let's bring an eye from here that the lekeach is not kaina, the guy is not kaina. Therefore, it's a problem if you don't take the money. It's Yiddish wine. There was no kinyan there, just sitting on the floor. There was no hagbah. There was no. You used to hagbah mashiach kaina. There was no hagbah mashiach sitting on the floor, and yet we say that give the money first because there was no kinyan there. Why not? It's sitting in the kelim of the lekeach. Before it became yain nesach, why is Abba sitting on the money? It must be that the kelim of the lekeach belongs to the anything inside that keli belongs to the kech, and therefore there's a problem here, and that's why Rav said give the money first, not because there's no shich, there's no mashich here, there's no hagboy, nothing to do with that, and Rav Ashi have no eye from there. Let's bring an eye from here, and yet there's a whole discussion. So we're going to learn I can tell you the lekech is kaina, and the lekech is kaina, but no eye from here either, no ice. What happened is that the wine doesn't go straight into the jug. You have like a little a chute or something. So the wine hits the chute and it slowly runs down into the jug, and that chute might have some residual yain nesach before it enters the keli. So even though that the keli itself belongs to the kech, before it entered the keli already became yain nesach. So therefore, even though the keli might belong to the kech and might belong to the goy where it became yain nesach, but it became yain nesach before it entered the keli, that chute. And that slope, it became yain nesach, and therefore, if you didn't collect the money from the goy yet, you only collect it afterwards, you got a problem. It's your wine that became yain nesach. You can't have enough. The kama inzichle, everything that came down became nesach. Ukaman, and he was worried. The like Rashbag. Now, there's a machlek. Later on, we're going to learn. Rashbag says that if that wine is asabano, yain nesach asabano, but and stam yain asabano. But if the wine got mixed up with other wine, and you're not allowed to drink it, and we'll see later whether it's the mashu or whether it's bottle shishim, the Gemara and the machlek Rishonim, but by stam yainim, but it says that. But as far as Isa Hana is concerned, what's Asa Bahana? Only the amount that's the yain nesach. So what you do is, let's say 1 cup full is yain nesach and 20 cups of wine in that barrel. So one cup throw away to Yam HaMelech and keep the money for the 19 cups. So therefore, and Rabbi, so what are you worried about? The only yain nesach here was the residual that belonged to the guy. So you can collect your full amount of money even afterwards. Because if you hold the halacha shem gamliel, which actually is halacha, that if the wine got mixed up with other wine, it's not asa b'hana. So what's Rav telling you about the money? So it must be that this thing does not go according to shem gamliel. Yikav shem gamliel hama yemacha kol yichad b'chutz b'nei yain asher. Says the Gemara, that's not a problem. You want to say that we have a B'Idu timer? Who are we saying is timer? So we're saying if the only problem is a little bit of residual wine, why is Rav warning them? Can't be. Rav Ashi might be right, because why is Rav warning them? Rashi Megillah says that it's all mutabana, and what you're trying to do is sell it to the guy. You're being mutabana, so what's the problem? So Gemara said no. Timer el Rav. Remember who we're following here? We're following Rav. Ha'amar Rav, didn't the Rav say halacha? The halacha is kerashbag. The halacha is like Rashi Megillah. Chavis b'chavis, but avaloy yain b'yain. He doesn't hold like a shingim. No, he says if you had 1 barrel of yain nesach mixed up with 20 barrels of regular wine,
separate a barrel.
Yeah, but we don't know which one. So you throw the value of 1 barrel to Yam HaMelech, and you keep the value of the other 19 barrels. But where the wine got mixed up together, he says Allah is not like a Shem Gamliel, and the entire barrel goes Asabana. And that is why Rav was saying give the money up front. Nothing to do with Kinyan Mashiach or not. He's worried about literally Yayin Nesach as it was happening.
Is that because once liquid's mixed, you can't separate it?
That's
a whole barrel.
But we're not talking about eating or drinking. We're talking about selling it and the money. So that's the machlekes.
When it's sealed, you can separate a barrel. You can't separate.
True, but they're talking about, since also we're not talking about the value. Value you can separate. You sold for $100. You know that $10 of that is yayin nesach. So that's the machlekes.
So then, what's the nafkamina if it's a barrel? If it's a mixture of liquid?
According to the thing, Shimon says that wine that got mixed up even in liquid is what you just throw away the Isra Hana and you can do the rest. But Rav holds no. But Rav says that one reflects another. What you're saying, he's saying that should reflect on the Hana as well. That the Hana should be just like the Isra Achila. We say if it got all mixed up, it's all Asr. So the Hana as well, or Achila is all Asr as well. And you know the famous Rambam Krisis, or we had the Gemara in the second page of Psachim, as to Isa Hana is like a separate Isa Achila, or Isa Hana is one Isa, but the best kind of Hana a person can have is eating. So it's one and the same, or is it a totally separate Isa? You know, if lo ya'achel means echid Isa Achila, echid Isa Hana b'mashma, another one says no. That's how the machlek is there to explain. If Hana and Achil is like one Isa, because it's Achil is Hana. the best kind. Or it's two separate things. One is a mice of eating the thing itself, and one is the value of it, just a representative of it. And maybe that's what this is all about here. When you mix in the wine, do we say that whatever is in by Achil and Shtiya should apply to Hana as well, or we say no? Sorry?
The last couple of weeks we've been differentiating quite.
Yeah. Not every Achil is also about no. Not every Achil is no. So where we do Asaban, like Yain Esach, like Chomas Pesach, wherever we ask the Hana, or look like Kenem, all of these places, anything we ask the Hana, how do we view then that Yisra Achil? Where the Torah says clearly only us trace, just about Chilil and Hana. Okay. In fact, here we have a pasuk Lachem. We hadn't brought something right there. Chavez. Okay, back to the Gemara. Tell you what, right? Make a question. How look it says just machlek of Ashi Amen. How look it? Good time when you bought silver pieces from a guy who much better you suddenly found that Avodah Zarah inside this. What do? Can you return it? Because if it's considered a sale and then you're sort of selling it back to him, you want your money back. If it's a sale back, you're not gonna have enough misahant from Avodah Zarah. What do? So it goes like this. If you did the Mashiach before you actually gave the money, then yachzit. Then you give it back. So the chayla, it's money that makes the king. So cold man, you did not give the money, you never took ownership. So all you do is give it back, his items, no problem. Or maybe once you gave the money, then afterwards you took it to yourself. Then it's too late, it became yours. So what do we see from here? According to this, which makes it yours? What makes your balabatish guy? The money.
Right. The purpose. Why is a person buying good choice? To melt it down and make something from it.
Yeah, but not what
is. Yeah, how are you going to get rid of this getch not to melt it down?
Yeah, but you can't be a vatal Avodah Zarah. So if you knew there was Avodah Zarah there, you never would have bought it because you can't use it. It's also Hanan. A yid can't do anything with it. A guy is different. So once you gave the money, so it seems to me it's all revolves around money. The kesef is the kinyan.
What was that?
Yeah, but it can't have a nav from it. Destroy it. Yeah, that's it. A yid can't have any hana. You can't move up. And we said before, you throw it in melech, you bury it, you burn it, bury it. No. You can't move up. Only a guy. Now, if you tell me the Mashiach is kind, even though he didn't give the money, how can he return it? It became the Yitz. He said, Raya to Ravashi that this money. Abai said, no, Raya. You know why the Yid could return it, even though he didn't Mashiach is kind? But you know why he could return it, even though he didn't Mashiach? Mashiach can make it. The whole thing was a mistake. It's a Mashiach based on an error. No, somebody over there should make a toss, and the safer than make a toss. You tell me in the safer, but if he, what do you call it? Once he gave the money, that's it, and he took it to himself. If Mashiach is kind, so what if he gave the money? If Mashiach is kind, and it's based on the mekach toss, why can't he give it back? Why do you tell me? It depends if he gave money or not. If you tell me the Mashiach is the main king, like a Meimar, who cares if he gave money or not money? If it's the mekach toss, give it back. I'll tell you the difference. I follow a by Reisha saying Mekatos, the difference as follows. The Reisha, the law, question of aside. In the Reisha, we did no money change hands, so when you give it back, it's clear that you're giving back the owner their item. Never appeared like it belonged to the Yid. Or the Sefer, in the Sefer, when money changed hands, the Yoav Luzi mischazik. It looked like when you gave the money to the guy, the Avodah became yours. And when you get the money back, it looks like you're selling it to the Avodah Zarah. Even though it's based on Megatos, you're not doing that, but that's what it appears, ostensibly. Therefore, you don't do that. Omelay Mark Shisha. Now, very interesting. You don't have this normally in Rashi. Rashi brings over here, how in the world did Abaye and Rava talk to Amemar? It's different generations. You don't really have now. Even the next one, Rashi has mentioned this, but Mark Shisha was the son of Chizda. Was Rabba of Chizda were Chavedim. There were Abaye Rabba's Rebbes. Rabbi Ashi was born when Rabba passed away. How is Mark Shisha the son of Chizda? I guess we said he's having a conversation about Ashi. Rabbi is many years his junior. Actually, Taisus Babasa of Zion over there has an argument that Mark Shisha was the oldest son, and he's called Mark Shisha Jr. because he was born when Chizda was young, or Mark Shisha was the younger son, and he's a Mazinka, and that's the Mazinka there. Anyway, so Mark Shisha Chizda Rashi Toshma coming here. If somebody sells wine to a guy, is this our Mishnah? Now we're getting back to our Mishnah. So it says we sold wine to a guy. Pasak, if you made up how much money to be actually mother before the guy took it, then damav mutarin. Then the money is mutter. Why? Because first you spoke how much money it is, so he pays the money. Then the guy took it. The guy was coin it before he made it to Avodah Zarah. He already, as soon as he took it, he already owed you that money that you made up. And the Mashiach made it the guys. And if he made Yain Nesach a minute later, you're collecting money for the Mashiach, which took place before it became Yain Nesach. As a why is the money later? You didn't collect the money. I just made up a price. Why are you allowed to take the money? When the guy made Yain Nesach, it was your wine. And for the skin, the actively dinner. The guy gave him money up front. He said, afterwards, we'll work it out. So because he gave him money up front, and Kesef was kind, he was kind. And Rashi says you have to give more money than the value of the wine itself, because he gave less than the value, then whatever wine is more than that value, what kind of. You gave more money than value, and then afterwards you work out exactly the amount, and he'll reimburse you the difference. So Kesef is kind. For anybody, it says in the Sefer, Modad actually pasuk. What if he didn't make up amount of money, and the guy made a meshicha? Dumb of a sort. He eats wine. And but became Yain Nesach, you can't take the money. But if you tell me the Kadla didn't, he already prepaid, then I might of a sudden. Then what? So why should the money be usher? Just because he didn't make up the amount yet. So what? But he already gave you the money, and afterwards you work out how much the money is. On Malay, he says back to him, and the way you learn Mashiach is kind of any better. If Mashiach is kind of, who cares if he made up a price or not? In the Mishnah makes a difference if you worked out a price before and not. Who cares? If the guy made a Mashiach, it became the guy's. And afterwards you work out the price, but the price is for the Mashiach before it became Yain Nesach. Why should it be different? You know why it's important to make up a price? Because let's say King Mashiach is a valid Kenyan, but the guy, when he did the Mashiach, because he doesn't know the price, he's apprehensive and he's sort of pensive. He's like, I don't know yet if I'll take it or not. It depends what you're going to charge me. Meanwhile, I'll take it to my Rishus, but if you charge me too much, I'll give it right back to you. So the Mashiach therefore is not a Kenyan because like Pasak. What are you going to tell me? Pasak, if you made up a price, then some chadaita, then when the guy takes it, he knows he wants it. So the Mashiach is the Kenyan. Like Pasak, he didn't make up a price, like some chadaita. The dynamic is the same thing for me. Even though he gave a dinner up front, Abba got to go to the dinner. Pasak, he made up a price, some chadaita. Then he's happy to proceed. Like Pasak, some chadaita, but the money. That's the kid. He gave money up front. If you're going to charge me too much, I'm not going to. I just gave you, whatever I had in my wallet. Let me bring it out the following ayah. He says that a yid who steals less than a pruta, the guy is mochel. But a ben noach will get killed for less than a pruta. Now he cannot return it. Now by yid we say less than pruta, it's not money, you're mochel, it's garnished. But by a guy it's mammon, and by a guy if they steal, that's the punishment. They get the misa. If you can tell me, Mashiach, if a guy is not kind of Mashiach, why will he get killed? Why is he getting killed? The guy never. It's not the guy's. Just give it back. Give back the yid his thing, because wherever, even though it's sitting by the guy, it's the yid's thing. Because you're telling Mashiach is not kind of. He's not kind of. Patients ask. What do you go? Patients ask by Ganif. A Yiddish Ganif. We say that he made kinyanim, that now he's responsible for everything, but it doesn't become his. He still has to give it back. So what's wrong with by a guy? You tell me the guy stole it, doesn't become his. So what? But you got to give it back. Sorry. No, that's only if you made a shini. If you made a shini, that's only a third party, and it's yish. But by a regular ganif, he has to return it, even though he wasn't. He's only koy as far as the chaybains. It's the same thing about guy. So it takes an interesting thing. By a yid, two things happen. There had to be a loss to the owner and a gain to you. So since you made a loss to the owner, it's more than a pruta. Because less pruta is nothing. More than a pruta is a loss to. You're not allowed to steal less than pruta, because as the Rambam said, Magen Mishnah, the Rambam is chatzishir. But you lonitin l'shavan is meichel. So when you steal more than a pruta, the guy had a loss, and you had a gain. So therefore, you're a ganef, even though it doesn't really become yours. But when it comes to a guy, he stole less than pruta. So as far as the victim, he didn't have a loss. He didn't have a loss. It was less than a pruta. He stole from a yid. He didn't have a loss. and so therefore, even though you might have had a gain, but since he didn't have a loss, that's why we're saying here that if Mashiach is not koine, what's he paying for? Because you're paying for the loss to that guy. You're not paying so much for what I took. I'm paying because I took. It's what you're missing. I have to compensate you for. So the Gemara, you know why you're paying? You know why he gets killed? Not the money. You cause the yitzar, and that's what you're paying for. So Gemara say, if you're telling me that he didn't take anything for the Yid anyway, and he's only paying because he caused the Yid pain, what do you mean nitin lehishavan? So it means is the ein noy betoidas hishavan. It means is that the concept of a Hashiv Exela doesn't apply in this case. He's nothing to give back. Talking about Yachiv, so a Maseifa, that's the question. You're telling me because it's Tzar Yisrael. Very interesting question. It says there, what happens? A goy stole from the Yid, and then a second goy stole from the first goy. The din is that Bochaveida, but not Lament, if a second guy stole from the first guy, the second guy also gets killed. Now let's understand. The first guy you're telling me didn't really steal it because in B'shichat not kind of the Yids. Okay, so who's kind? So therefore, why are you paying? Because you caused the Yid harm. No, and the second guy didn't have nothing to do with the Yid. The second guy just stole from the first guy. Why is he getting killed? Even Bishleimer, Reisha, understand, he caused the Yid harm, pain. Ela Sefer Mavle, but Sefer, what do you do? Ela Shmamin or Mashiach, but become kindness. And I mean, what? The Mashiach guy is kindness. So the first guy became a Ganef, and the second guy, Shmamin, is a good idea. That's the kinyan by goyim between a goy and a yid, a goy and a goy. Mashiach is kind of that's the kinyan Mashiach. We brought a rai before Mashiach is kind because that's how the people in Parsoya they used to give they gave something they would never change their mind from a goyim to goyim. Oh, so the first person. No, if you live Mashiach, it makes sense. The first person is a ganu because he was Moshe from a yid, and the second person is a ganu because he's called from a goy. You're not allowed to it's either. Yeah. The case wants to know. We just said before that where there's no money involved, Mashiach is kind of. No, so by a Gazlan, there's no money involved. The Niglim doesn't sell him. So if everyone knows Mashiach is kind of. Just like if a guy found something, how does it become the guy? By Mashiach, according to Taisus. Or if a guy gives a matana to a guy, how does it become the guy? By me taking it. No, it's exactly the same thing. We have no choice. Of course, Mashiach is kind of. And Taisus want to say that Geneva is like Mekach HaMemcha. We can't say it's like Mitzia or Matana because there you had a right to take it. You had a right to take the Mitzia, the right to take Matana, so therefore it works. But over here you had no right, so it's like Mekach HaMemcha. If Mashiach is not kind, it won't work here. Okay, we'll stop over here. Tomorrow we'll do 2 blocks. We'll take us through Shabbos. Okay, have a good day, everyone.
Where does the idea that a guy is chayiv mitzvah for Geneva?
The 7 mitzvahs in Noach, one of them is didn't include because their punishment is they get what do you call it? They get misa in a court.
Yeah. Do you know the origin? What words imply that?
Yeah, we had that in the Gemara in Sanhedrin of Nazayin. That from test it talks about the 7 mitzvahs in Noach.
Yeah.
Said Azarasim Zuhi Misasim. That just the warning alone is their mitzvah, which possibly we learn by Sabbath and Malakim as Adam all the 7 mitzvahs. And how do you know that? I can't remember offhand.
No, that's okay. Okay.